And mine is actually held in place just with two 10mm, long 10mm bolts. So now it's out and down. I think I stand a better chance of unwrapping it and videoing where all the connections go. I have some cover on mine. There's some small bolts, presumably that go in and pin that mechanism in place. There's the wide gap. The one coming off there is marked with a little green collar. So that's the brown lead, which is cracked. Next to that is the white and pink. Joined with the white and pink on a piggyback are 3 wires, some of which are starting to melt. So these are the white wires. One's marked with a white with a red collar. I think that would be original. There's, the white and pink also has this, well, I'd have said black wire attached. And then the other part of the piggyback has this other white wire, which doesn't appear to have a collar on, but does have a red wire connection that obviously goes somewhere. So I'll remove that. So that's a double connection. This wire here could be grey, but also has a thin brown wire. And then finally, I'm left with a black wire, which is soldered to the connector. On mine, I only have off, on, and then everything's on, and then start, and then back. The switch can only go in one way because of that recess, and the switch similarly has that protrusion there, which will go into that slot. This one I'm putting in now, get those aligned. And this one, there's like the 0 off, position 1, which is on. Then there's another position which isn't quite so clear, position 2, and then start and back to position 2, and then 1 and off. So I'm going to replace this old ignition switch, which was getting quite hot. I've put the new one in. It's entirely different. I've looked at the circuit diagram. I've tested the bits and pieces. So each one of these is marked with a number. That's number 1, 2, 3, and then 5. I've tested these using a circuit tester. I've decided that brown goes in on this one. The next one there is going to remain empty and will be permanent live, so could be attached to something if you want it permanently live. So number 2 gets the brown wire. Number 3, that's going to get the white wires. There are several white wires, and I'll look at the circuit diagram in a second. and I'm going to be attaching 2 relays to the white wires. This one here is for the radio and aerial, and this one here is for the starter relay. So going clockwise, the first click actually puts these 2 on, and those I'm connecting to the aerial and radio. The second click presents the ignition live, which is this one here, number 3. That's ignition live, and we'll get the relays, 2 relays to the white wires. The final position, spring operated, is for the starter, and that connects in this particular one here. Looking at the ignition switch, this is the circuit diagram for a J series off the club side. You've basically got one thick brown wire coming in to the ignition switch here. You've got an earth, and I'm not sure about that at all, whether that's just an earth to the body of the switch. I can't see how the earth should be connected to the switch. You've got this white and yellow wire which goes off to the starter relay. You've also got another feed which goes to the radio, and then you've got this final feed here, which on mine you've got 3 thick white wires, or white and pink and white. These 3 wires deliver all the power to the rest of the system, and I'm going to attach 2 relays to that. So from this white wire here comes down, that feeds the instrumentation, also feeds windscreen wiper motor and washer. It goes down here and feeds some more instrumentation down here, and the fuel gauge. This white wire here goes off down, and that feeds door locks. So this one here, this white wire here, I'm going to attach to a relay. This white wire here goes and comes down to that multi-junction in the engine bay, and that feeds ignition coil and a number of other items. I'm not going to connect that to a relay, but I will be connecting the electric windows to a relay. I've got relays on the windows, and I want those fed because of the draw by a relay. So I'm attaching a relay to that wire, which is white and pink, and I will attach a relay to this white wire here that feeds everything on the dash and the wipers and so on. I've tested the configuration, and that being the brown, next one to a part and parcel of the same pair, that's empty. Following on from that, we've got the white wires, so there's 3 attached to there. There's the radio and aerial connection, and that goes round to the starter. So I'm happy all that works. Engine starts, everything else comes on as it should do. Now I'm just going to adapt these lines to allow for the relays. I'm going to use a simple relay. It's one with 4 connections. I've marked each connection on the outside of the relay. Power, it's marked on the top here quite nicely. Power will come in at number 30. It goes down here, across the switching mechanism, and will go out at 87. 85 and 86 are the switching wires. So 85 and 86 are these 2. That's 86 and that's 85. They only take I know they're quite thick, but they will only take 1 or 2 amps. It's just enough to operate the magnetic switch. But the power will come in here and exit here. And I will connect them accordingly so that the brown wire will feed into the relays on the red side here, and then the power will come out separately to the white wires feeding the different functions. I'm proposing to put in 2 relays. They'll be like this. This is a Bosch 60 amp, so there's plenty of scope in there. It shouldn't be near its maximum. There had already been a connection where this was soldered, so I've just spliced in there with the wires for the relay holder, and I'll solder them and then pull over some heat shrink. So at this stage I've attached the 2 red wires to the brown power in, and I've also connected the blue wires, which are the power out, to the appropriate white wires. And then we've got the white and black part of the relay, which is the switching mechanism, and the same on this side. There's a black and white one to connect up. And the white one will go to the ignition switch. Both white ones will go to the ignition switch, and then the black ones will just go to an earth. At the very back there, there's already a hole through that inner bulkhead. It's quite empty behind. I've pushed something through. I think it was used to mount one of these flasher units. So I'm going to make an earthing connection there. Attach that earth wire so that I can utilize that to earth the relays. Solder the 2 earth wires together, and now with that earth attached inside there, my proverbial waggo, I'm going to just connect that up to give the earth. Bear in mind it's only going to be 1 amp or so. That's the end result on the ignition switch. The 2 relays are just tucked up there, so not obvious. The only thing different I might have done, I don't know why I didn't actually attach the 3rd wire to one of the relays. I think I had in mind that it would continue to function even if the relays are packed up, but that's probably not a good enough reason to have not attached that 3rd wire to one of the other relays or to a separate relay. So that's the only thing I would have done different, I think, is given more consideration to attaching that 3rd white wire to one of the existing relays.